Like, who do we consider, like, the bad guys? Like, a little bit more specific. Like,
Gangsters,
just the people who are doing the
murderers.
protests, or just the...
Well, anybody. Violent rioters.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Gangsters,
Okay, that's fair.
murderers,
That's fair.
robbers, burglars.
But do we think that the people who are being deported, besides the ones...
Oh, they're bad guys too, but they're not as bad of guys.
Okay, but do you think the way that they're being treated is fair?
Yes.
You think that's humane?
Their
You
first
think that
action...
People who... Okay, let's just compare where they started.
Yep.
Sorry, I interrupted you. I didn't mean
You're
to.
good.
People from where they started, they're probably... Some of these people are fleeing to get to a better place for a better economic status. Like, that's what we want out of America.
Well, that sucks, but what if I lived in a double-wide trailer and I said, I need to flee my double-wide trailer to get into a better place, and I went and lived in your family's home? Is that just what I did, or do you have the right to violently remove me? Because I think you should put a gun to my face and kick me out of your house. That's what I would do to somebody who did that.
I feel like that's like... I'm not really sure where the comparison is.
The comparison is that you're saying because they're fleeing a bad situation and woe is me and it sucks to be them, that they have the right to just enter the United States and reside here illegally. If I live in a shitty situation, I don't think that I have the right to leave my shitty situation and make your good situation my shitty situation.
I think it's actually making people's situations better. I think our GDP has increased when we have more immigrants.
Okay, but that's not okay. Well, you have to differentiate legal immigrants and illegal immigrants, and also having a better economy is not justification to do something bad, right?
No, it isn't.
What happened after we abolished slavery? The entire economy of the South collapsed. Doesn't mean we shouldn't have abolished slavery just because there were economic repercussions to it. The majority of illegal immigrants living in this country are slaves. They have to hire the cartel to come here. They need coyotes. They can't enter the United States. You have to cross a desert and evade law enforcement to come here illegally. You have to hire the cartel to do that for you. The overwhelming majority of illegals had to hire the cartel to get them here. Okay, so they are actively paying off a debt to the cartel, because when they go to the cartel, like you just said, in their poor, crappy situation, what they do is they tell the cartel, I don't have any money, but can you get me there? And the cartel says, I understand that you're broke, and that's fine. We'll take you. You're going to pay us back later. Okay, so they're already getting paid virtually nothing by the farmers and factories that hire them, and then what's left over goes to the cartel. And the cartel says, if you don't pay me back, I will murder you or your family in Mexico, and I've seen the bodies.
This seems to be like, I feel like that's a really specific example that's maybe just an outlier among
It's not an outlier. I've filmed 3 separate documentaries on the southern border in Texas.
And it's
this is what happens.
There are more criminals statistically that exist in the United States compared to the ones that, if you don't count obviously illegally crossing the border is a crime, just they're trying to seek a better place.
It's not true. Illegal immigrants disproportionately commit crime. If you look at Kinney County, Texas, there are more crimes committed by illegal immigrants in Kinney County, Texas than there are people living in the county. You look at El Paso, Texas, it's about 46% of all crime are committed by illegal immigrants. When you look at counties that have a lot of illegal immigrants, they disproportionately commit crimes every single time. And again, 100% of them are criminals. There's no reason why we should exclude their first action entering this country being blatantly disrespecting and disordering the laws of this country and spitting in the face of every legal immigrant.
They're just as human, just as anyone else who walks
Wait, so you don't think that it's disrespectful to walk into a country and violate its laws? Because I do.
Well, it's also it's one law, and I think they're also trying to just make themselves a better life.
That's cool, but again, if I want to make myself a better life, that doesn't mean I have the right to steal from you.
But we're not. What are you stealing when you're crossing the border?
Well, we can start with, according to the House Committee on Budget, the net fiscal drain of an illegal immigrant is $70,000 per person. So that's number one. They drain $70,000 per person from the U.S. economy. That's taxes paid minus social welfare used. So they are stealing from us, but also they don't have a right to come into our space illegally and occupy it. That's what they're doing. I don't have a right to leave my bad house and go to your good house and occupy it.
Yeah, and I also think I think personally, I guess if it was just me, I wouldn't really have a problem with that. But I do agree.
You wouldn't have a problem with somebody entering your house and staying there illegally?
Okay, but I don't think that's all scenarios.
No, I'm just saying. Would you have a problem with that?
Would I have a problem with that?
I can't believe you even have to think about it.
I mean, it's also
if somebody walks
it's a human being.
If somebody walks, let's put it this way: if somebody walks into my house without my permission, they're going to be shot with a 12-gauge shotgun.
Okay.
Every single time. You don't have a right to walk into my house where my family lives and decide you're going to set up camp. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you have on you. I don't know your intentions. I'm going to shoot you.
I also just don't take violence as my first action. That's just me morally.
When I have a woman behind me that I need to protect, I do take violence as my first option. And when the government It's the same situation. When somebody comes into this country without permission, we don't know their intentions, we don't know what they have on them, we don't know what they brought here because they entered the country without inspection. The government is me standing in front of my girlfriend. They're standing in front of their people, protecting them. And that's why those people get deported and taken out.
And it's just like...
they actually meet them with less violence than I would meet somebody with.
I think that there's a bigger issue with this, is that, like, a part of it, too, is I don't know if you agree with me on this, that citizenship needs to be easier to get.
I could not agree less.
You don't agree with that?
No, it shouldn't be easy to be an American citizen.
Why?
Why should it be easy to be an American citizen?
Because
if it was easy to be an American citizen, everybody would be one. Right? We can't take in the world's population. It needs to be difficult to be a citizen here. And by the way, it's not difficult to get permanent. As of right now, it's not difficult to get permanent residency here. It takes less than a year. And then once you're a permanent resident, it takes 5 years minimum to become a citizen.
I feel like having citizenship would also lower a lot of the problems. And it is a more humane way of treating this, where it's like, okay, there wouldn't be, do you think there would be like less illegal crossings if citizenship was easier to apply?
So if somebody wants to come into my house and take my things, I don't say, well, you know, I could solve the problem of people robbing me if I just went out into the streets and gave things away. Right? I don't solve crime by giving to the criminals.
So we're inherently believing that the people who are entering the country are like trying to be criminals. They're trying to.
No, it's not that they're trying to be criminals. They are criminals, and they actively tried to get there. They are. Everyone who's entered this country illegally has violated 8 U.S. Code 1325, improper entry by alien. It's been federal code since the 1940s.
Let's remove the fact that it's an illegal immigrant.
Why would we remove that?
From a moral standpoint.
Why would we remove that?
They're a human being. Yes, they have committed the crime of illegally crossing the border. We can both agree upon that. But other than that, what have they done wrong? Like, what have they done wrong? Like, what have they done to harm you specifically?
Yeah, okay. Like, so let me just give you like a quick analogy. When I go to bed at night, what do?
Sleep.
Nope.
Right?
I close my door, I lock it, and I put a loaded gun on my nightstand. I don't want my country to leave its door open any more than I want my own door open at night, right? We don't know who's coming here. There are national security risks. There are net fiscal drains on the U.S. economy. And they're also bringing things into this country that we don't want here and that are illegal here. Like there's enough enough fentanyl smuggled across the U.S. southern border every single year to kill every single American by overdose. Furthermore, we don't know what guns they're bringing here, right? You guys want an assault weapons ban, right? You cross the border without inspection, you can bring anything here.
I mean, you don't know like anything that anybody here is bringing. Like, let's think about that too. At least the people who are U.S. citizens, you don't know what anything that people are here.
No, but I know who these people are, right? If I needed to find out who these people are, right, the government can find them. Why? Because they're all registered citizens of this country. I bet everyone in this crowd has an ID in their pocket.
I would bet you that it's
an illegal immigrant
likely,
doesn't.
I would bet you that it's more likely statistically that an American citizen would be more likely, to commit a violent crime than like an illegal immigrant.
Okay, what's your point? Why does that mean that we should allow illegal immigrants to commit violent crimes?
Because I'm not saying that it's right. I'm not saying no violent crime.
And again, I'll point you to the only state in the country that classifies crime by immigration status, Texas. Look at Kinney County, Texas. There are more crimes committed by illegal immigrants than there are people living in the county.
That's Kinney County, Texas.
Okay, look at El Paso, Texas.
All the US? Is that representative of all the US, though?
Well, it has to be because it's the only state that classifies its arrest data by immigration status. No other state does it. None of them. It's just Texas. Any study you will find about immigration and crime statistics in the United States will be all sourced from the Texas Department of Public Safety. All of them. Because they're the only police department that classifies their arrest by immigration status. And it's probably much more disproportionate than Texas can determine, because the only way they know a person's illegal is if the federal government has already arrested that person and deemed them an illegal immigrant. So there are probably lots of people who haven't been arrested by the federal government that are illegals that Texas just can't determine are illegals.
In what type of crime is it? Is it specifically that they've illegally crossed the border? Or
No. It's crimes on top of 8 U.S. Code 1325.
Okay. Fair enough. I would say that's a fair point. But I think again, like holistically from what we're looking at here, I'm still willing to bet statistically across the country that a U.S. citizen is more likely to commit a crime. Well,
we don't have any data on that, so you can't prove that. But either way, it doesn't disprove anything I'm saying, because it doesn't change the fact that we still shouldn't allow our door to be open. Again, I don't leave my door open at night.
We're under this presupposition that it's like that.
Even if my girlfriend is more likely to steal my candy while I'm sleeping, right? I still don't leave my front door open.
Yeah, and I'm not saying leave your front door open. Like,
well, the front door
I
of the
think-
country
I think
was
this
open
is-
for 4
I think
years, and
this
it's what
is
you're
like-
arguing for.
I feel like this is also like there again. It's a human being, and it's not like no one's allowing you. Oh, let me just open your door and let me open.
Let's try
your
this
house."
route. Let's try this route. Do you believe in border laws?
Do I believe in border laws?
Yes.
Yes, I do believe in border laws.
You believe there
but
should be a border?
I do believe that there should.
Okay,
be
and you
border,
believe
yeah.
that the U.S. government should vet who comes through that border?
Yeah. To
Okay.
Some extent. I
So
think-
if deportation is not the consequence for violating the border law, because
Oh,
we have
I
one.
think-
One second. Let me finish the question.
Yeah.
We have 8 U.S. Code 1325, improper entry by alien, which is a law that says it's illegal to come into this country without inspection or permission of an immigration official. It seems like you support that. So, if you don't enforce your laws, you don't have laws. So, what I would ask you is, what consequence do you think violators of that law should be given?
I do think that there should be some form of deportation, but the process should be much more kinder and much more
Like what?
humanistic.
Like what? We give them a lollipop and a sandwich and send them on their way? Or?
I mean, that's like going 100% one way and saying like,
What do you think
depicting
should
it
be
as like
kinder?
a black and white issue, as if like, oh, it's either this or it's that.
What do you think
There's
should be
always a
kinder?
there's always a gray area.
What do you think should be kinder about the
Should I
situation?
think it should be kinder? I just don't think the fact that they're a human being. I also just don't think. I don't assume naturally that their intentions is to harm.
I don't care what their intentions are. If I shoot Lance in the face right now, it doesn't matter what my intentions of shooting him is. Right? I shot him. I go to jail.
You shot him. Yeah. I mean, but it's also. I'm not really sure what the point of that.
Yeah,
is.
maybe Lance has a wallet with $1,000 on it, and I have 3 starving children. Right? So I shoot Lance in the face and steal his wallet. My intentions were to feed my children, but it doesn't
But that's
matter because
also-
I killed
but
somebody.
That's just also like an argument out of absurdism more than it is like what actually.
So it's not an argument out of absurdism because people get robbed in this country every day. But again, a reductio ad absurdum is a legitimate argument to test logical consistency. So even if it was a reductio ad absurdum, it doesn't matter.
Fair enough. I mean, I just think that it's like it's also just not like it's just not very humane because there are not situations where someone's like, for example, like, oh, I'm crossing the border and then my immediate action. Okay, yeah, maybe there's an outlier example, but I don't think that's the general cases of what's happening. I think a lot of these people just want to seek a better
But
life,
again-
a better job, and they're not trying to just like because you're comparing crossing the border to opening like a physical door.
Again, their intentions don't matter. It doesn't matter why they decided to violate our laws. All that matters is they did.
They
Again,
did
if I
not-
rob a store and I kill somebody in the process, or if I just
Okay.
rob a store with a
Okay,
gun,
but
it
those
doesn't
are
matter
two-
why
those
I
are
did it.
two
I still did
completely-
it.
That's violence versus something that is non-violent.
Okay. If I go and steal Lance's stuff right now in a non-violent fashion, he leaves it on the sidewalk and I steal it. Again, it doesn't matter why I stole it. It just matters that I did. It could have been to sell all his stuff and feed my family. It doesn't matter. I still did it and I still go to jail. You violate the law, you go to jail. If you don't enforce your laws, you don't have them.
Bad intentions. People crossing the border.
No, my intentions weren't bad. I wanted to feed my family, so I robbed Lance.
Okay, well then that's more of a governmental problem than I think it really is a problem with.
No, it's a problem
you
for
stealing.
everyone.
What
It's a
does that
problem-
say about like socioeconomics? Then I guess it says more about
It doesn't
socioeconomics
matter.
than it does say about like border.
It doesn't matter how poor or in what bad a situation you're in. It does not make it permissible to violate other people's rights by stealing or harming them.
I don't think we're really violating other people's rights by.
You think that me stealing Lance's stuff is not a violation of his right?
I think that situation is a violation of someone's rights, but I also think it speaks to a broader socioeconomic problem and a governmental issue. Like,
Wait, the socioeconomic problems of people in other countries is not our government's problem.
no, it isn't, but it's also like, just like if you look at like historically what the U.S. has represented, like the U.S. has represented like a place where people can go to get a better life. Like that's what symbolically the U.S. has represented, and I think that's like
Yeah, we did that
that's an
when we needed
important
it. We
value.
don't need it anymore. We're full.
We're full.
We're
like
full.
there's a capacity point.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
if we overreach it, there's a capacity point.
Yeah, we already
I don't
have.
really
we
understand
already
that
we already
argument.
have tons of people in this country living below the poverty line. Why would we bring more poor people in from other poor countries?
Okay,
Does it
that's
make any
also-
sense?
That's also just like I think that's more of like again that speaks to a broader issue about like how the government treats.
Right. So the
most
solution to
vulnerable.
that issue is not bringing in more poor people, right?
I don't think that's what the solution people are thinking of.
Okay,
I
but
think
you're,
we're talking
you're
about
saying
two completely
you're saying we have a
different things.
socioeconomic problem where there are lots of poor people, right?
Yeah.
And then you're
I think
also
that speaks
saying,
to a
wait, hold up,
completely
pause.
different-
And then
yeah,
you're
yeah.
also saying, let's bring in more poor people who are a net fiscal drain of $68,000 per person into this country so that they can drain the social welfare systems we have set up for our people who aren't getting it.
I also just think that speaks to a bigger problem that doesn't necessarily pertain to immigrants. Like I feel like that's a bit of a slippery slope we're going down. I think we do need to also treat our most vulnerable. We can do two things at once. We can kill two birds with one stone. We can bring across these immigrants and try to give them a better life.
Why?
Well, why?
Why?
Because it's human. They are human beings.
Okay. So if we go by that standard, there are several billion people in this country living below the abject poverty line.
Yeah, I think that's
we don't just bring them all in because they're humans, right?
I think that's
we don't have the capacity to take in 2 billion people.
We're talking about two different things. That is a problem.
But you're saying we should just bring in anyone because they're people and they need a better life.
Yeah,
doesn't make any sense.
That's a great policy.
Right. So again, there are 2 billion people living in poverty in this world. You can't bring in 2 billion people to the United States.
Well, no, 2 billion people also aren't asking to live in the United States.
Do you think that 2 billion people would deny the offer to come live in the United States? Because I don't.
No, I don't think they would. But
okay,
there's
great.
also a lot of political and different factors.
So do you see the problem with your reasoning? Just bring in everybody. Bring in everybody because they're people. It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, what do you mean?
It's not practically possible.
Sure, it's not practically.
The country would collapse.
Sure, and that's why I'm also saying that there needs to be more government intervention on treating the people who are most vulnerable in the country already.
Right. And you can't do that when you import a bunch of poor people.
Yeah.
We can't control the socioeconomic circumstances of people in other countries, nor should we try, right? So those people can't come here. You don't violate the laws of this country. If you violate the laws of this country, you're out.
But
and also, you're spitting in the face of legal immigrants.
And we're acting like that. This is oh, they're people oh, they've really done this evil, immoral action, by crossing the border. Looking for something better.
I never said it was evil or immoral.
Then why are we being so forceful?
Because if you have laws, and you agree with these laws, by the way, you have to enforce them. If you don't enforce those laws, they don't exist, right? If you fail to enforce your laws, they don't exist.
Yeah.
And so if we don't enforce the laws that require our government to deport illegal immigrants, people who have violated federal code, the law doesn't exist. And so it has to be enforced evenly and equally. Anybody, I don't care how long you are here, I don't care how old you are, abuela, you're gone. Adios.
Yeah,
okay?
and I think a part of it for me is okay, there's got to be a bit of solvency. Like for example, I was hearing a case for example, this guy, the father was he must have been illegally here, but he had a son with 3 Marines, and he's been living in the country for over 30 years, and he was taken away. Is that fair in any way imaginable? You think that's
I think so.
right?
I think so. So let's change the circumstances.
Dedicated to this.
Yeah,
country.
let's change the circumstances here.
Okay. Yeah.
So this guy, instead of violating 8 U.S. Code 1325 improper entry by alien, he killed somebody 30 years ago, and then he had these children. He leads a great life. Would we say, when we find out that he's the killer, would we say, but he has a great life and 3 Marines? No.
Someone and
it's an analogy. They don't have to be the same, and they're not the same, right? But we don't stop enforcing the law just because somebody has decided.
The analogy doesn't
I'm
work.
not done.
Okay.
We don't stop enforcing the law just because after breaking the law, somebody has decided to do something productive with their lives. They still violated the law, and it doesn't matter.
There's levels of law. There are levels of what is more. You get more time.
We don't decide what laws we enforce based on what's moral. The laws are the morality. When we create laws, I'm not finished. When we create laws, we try to base them in morality. The morality, the system of morality the government operates on is already set in stone. Right, we've already decided how we enforce the laws, and therefore they must be enforced evenly, or they don't exist.
I think the time that we put in place, that we send people away for in jail or prison, is in a sense a moral timeline. It's a moral punishment.
Yeah.
When we sentence someone away for murder or for a lifetime, we consider that morally worse than let's say doing something else. That's why I'm saying
what's
the analogy
consequence for this?
Work.
What's the consequence for violating 8 U.S. Code 1325?
What's the violation?
The consequence is no time in jail, deportation. Goodbye.
Yeah, deportation, but that's also the U.S. Constitution.
It's not the Constitution. It's federal code.
Federal code.
They're different.
Okay. I mean, again, I just think I'm arguing kind of more from a moral standpoint. If we think that's morally right, more than what's
it's not these laws about borders. And about
I'm going to go on a few
guidelines, right? That's fine. These laws about borders are not based in morality, right? You don't say, well, it's immoral to cross a border. Nobody says that, right?
Yeah.
Laws like this, murder laws, are born out of morality.
Yeah.
Laws like this are born out of practicality. There are 2 wings to the law: practicality and morality. Laws about borders are not born out of morality. They're born out of practicality because we realize that there are countries who don't like us, and we can't just allow them to send people over here willy-nilly without us vetting those people first.
Yeah.
Furthermore, we also can't allow endless amounts of drugs, weapons, etc. to come across the border. We can't allow cartel gangs to invade this country because you best believe that if they had their way, they would also be slinging drugs in the United States physically, right? Not just shipping it over the border and having distributors send it out, right? You bet your ass they'd be here killing people. We can't let that happen, right? It's born out of practicality because the government has an obligation to protect its people.
Yeah. Nice to meet you.
Yeah,
You have
nice
a great
to meet you
day.
too. Thank you.
If
You
I
too.
had to say anything else, like I believe maybe the law should be more a blending of practicality and morality.
Yeah.
So you have a great day.
Thank you. You too. Have a good one. Be safe.